First move into a country where an extraordinary vaccine drive has to be seen to be believed. Bhutan, a Himalayan nation between India and China, has vaccinated 93% of adults in around 2 weeks. Bhutan is also providing support to neighbouring India as the country is struggling with a catastrophic surge of COVID cases. And I'm pleased to say joining us now, the Prime Minister of Bhutan, Lotay Tshering. Fantastic to have you on the show, Prime Minister. Thank you for joining us. We have much to discuss in terms of your own actions in your own country, but I saw that you spoke to Prime Minister Modi of India today, and you've been providing support to the nation too. Can you just explain what you've been doing for India to support them at this moment?
Thank you, Julia, and hello to all your viewers. In fact, before I start answering your question, I would take this opportunity to convey warm greetings from His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Queen from the land of gross national happiness. I'm really surprised how you found Bhutan, because normally we are not found, normally we are not heard, but I'm very happy that you reach out to us. You're right, Julia. I took this opportunity to call Prime Minister Modi, our good neighbor, to express our solidarity with him, and we could only send our warm wishes and sincere prayers for him. Being a small country, small economy, resource constrained, we are not able to offer that much of economic. But as you all know, our good neighbor India is suffering a lot from the pandemic, and they're running out of almost all the healthcare facilities. So the only thing we could offer is some liquid oxygen that we could tank and ship it to India. So that's what we could do. But more than anything, as I said, Julia, I'm so happy that I could talk to Prime Minister Modi and send our prayers for all our Indian friends.
We understand. It's clearly a border nation for yourselves. Can I just ask what measures and protections you're taking in order to protect your own citizens?
Of course, now I don't know how much time I have on this, but we started our preparation since February last year, actually, a month after the disease broke out in China. And then we took all measures in place. And then as we were anticipating, we got the first case on the 5th of March last year. And ever since we got the case, we had a very good control, I would say. Immediately, we stopped tourists coming to Bhutan. We blocked all our international borders, both by land and by air. And then we had all the surveillance and testing, primary contact testing in place. And until now, we managed to keep our community safe. And in fact, all these things started from our leadership, His Majesty the King, who, as we talk, is in the south, where we share free borders with India. His Majesty, for last almost 15 months, had spent almost 80% of the time out of the palace, guarding our country physically as well as mentally, morally supporting all the frontline workers. So, of course, being small is our strength, but then all of us being unconditionally united under His Majesty's leadership actually had given us very good protection.
And a 21-day quarantine as well for those entering your country also helped. Talk to me about the vaccine drive, because I think for most people listening, the idea that you managed to vaccinate 93% of your adult population in the space of under 2 weeks is an astonishing feat. How did you achieve that, and what perhaps can other nations learn from how you did this?
Yeah, I mean, of course, to us, we thought it was just a simple plan that we strategized for ourselves. But now hearing the news from around the world, we are actually happy that many heard us. Actually, it again started from His Majesty's in-depth knowledge about the infection and our King's knowledge about herd immunity. In fact, we all designed in the way the rest of the countries designed to vaccinate our population initially. The caregivers, the frontline workers, the health staffs would have come first, but with the knowledge of herd immunity, His Majesty was very sure that we could vaccinate almost all 700,000 population that we have in the country. So we designed and roll it out as on a national campaign mode, where about a month before we vaccinated, we online enrolled all eligible population, and then we designed, of course, on a good day that we roll it out, and in a span of, I would say, not exactly 1 week, but I think 9 days, we managed to vaccinate almost 90% of the eligible population. And then over another 2 or 3 days more, we could cover now almost 95% of eligible population. That is almost 65% of people living in Bhutan. Of course, we vaccinated all living in Bhutan. So our first dose went very well. And of course, I shouldn't forget to thank India for the generous support of giving us a vaccine for free.
Covishield, of course, is the vaccine, the AstraZeneca vaccine that the Serum Institute of India has manufactured. Obviously, they're having supply issues and they're focusing on their own domestic priorities as well. Can I ask you, Prime Minister, what you're hearing about the provision of the doses for the second dose for your citizens? Is that going to come timely? Do you have any sense of when that might arrive?
Yes, I mean, that is the question that we all are asking ourselves. Of course, time interval between the first and second dose is about 8 to 12 weeks. We are into the 5th week after the first vaccination. India and Government of India, Prime Minister Modi, of course, has agreed and still are very happy to help us. But we also fully agree and understand the situation that they are in. So as we bank on to the support from India, we are also reaching out to all the leaders in the world to support us with vaccines, actually, preferably, of course, AstraZeneca, but then any make would do, because being a doctor myself, knowing the immunology, how our body reacts to the vaccination process, I think any vaccination that has proven track record, any vaccination that is approved for emergency use would be good for us. So knowing the situation that Government of India is in, we are reaching out to all our good friendly leaders in the world to help us with at least 500,000 doses so that we could cover the 95% of the population with the second doses, so that we will actually have a good herd immunity. And then we also would like to open up our borders and be absolutely sure that people of Bhutan are protected immunologically. Right now, the protection is maximally through non-pharmacological interventions. People are following COVID norms very strictly. We have absolutely said no to any foreigners who are coming to Bhutan. And as you rightly said, we have a very strict state-sponsored 21 days quarantine, even though I know the practice being 2 weeks, but we have gone 1 week beyond that. We also have some restrictions of Bhutanese traveling within the country. We have categorized the country into high-risk and low-risk group. Anybody who wants to come travel between the two places from high to low-risk area will have to undergo a mandatory state-sponsored quarantine for a week. And within the country, we have lots of medical checkpoints where traffic along busy roads or highways are picked up. And our target is to on-site COVID test at least 10% of the travelers. All frontline workers, health staff, armed forces, business people, eateries, all are checked once every 2 weeks, so that in the event of a community transmission or a local transmission, we would like to pick it up on the first hour, I would say. We wouldn't even wait for 24 hours. And then our contact tracing has now become very efficient, that all small outbreaks, we almost get 80% of our positive cases from the traced primary contacts, and not very many from the community. So, so far so good, but we know we don't see the enemy. The infection is becoming more and more infectious. The wave is becoming hotter and hotter. We are really, really cornered with the wave that is sweeping this part of the world.
So you've certainly handled it. And I know you mentioned you're a doctor, and I know you practice at weekends and have been commended for it. You are one busy man. So I'm going to let you get back to it. And you made a point that you're not often heard. I promise you, Bhutan is heard on First Move. Come back and speak to us soon, please, Prime Minister. It was great to have you on the show. The Prime Minister of Bhutan there. Thank you.